The Inspired Life. You have asked a question. Is creativity a skill that can continuously be developed? If so, any suggestions on building our creative brain muscles? Oh, I think about this 90-plus-year-old violinist who had been playing for 8.5 decades and still practiced every day. And an interviewer was like, how come you still practice every day? You've been playing for 80 years. And he said, I think I'm still making real progress. That is so beautiful. Is creativity a skill that can be continuously developed? I'm going to reframe this question because I don't think the word creativity means anything. I know culturally we have an understanding of what we mean when we say it, but let's break it down. It's like, I don't sit down at the workbench and think, okay, let's get creative. I think about a problem I want to solve. And then I try and solve it. That's what this machine is that I'm in, this building is a machine for problem solving. So I like setting myself interesting, aesthetic, technical, narrative problems, among many others, and I like trying to fix those. And yeah, you keep on giving yourself problems to solve. That can be continuously developed. I've done this before, talking about replacing the word creativity with the phrase point of view. And I'll talk about something that happened on Mythbusters so frequently. We would agree, okay, let's do this story on swimming in syrup. This is a great example. Swimming in syrup. The myth is that you can swim just as fast in syrup as you can in water. Because while the thicker material, the more viscous liquid of the syrup slows down your forward momentum, it also gives you more to push off of. And the myth is that those two forces cancel each other out. And so I don't know anything about viscosity. I mean, I know what viscosity is. I have an idea that you could probably test it by like putting a hole in a funnel and timing how long a liquid takes to run out. So I'm doing a little Google research and I find out that the science of viscosity is called tribology. I then find that there is an international association of tribologists and they have a president and his phone number is on the website. So I call him and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this show. This is like, swimming in syrup is later, right? So Mythbusters has been happening for a while. We didn't have to, that wasn't a point in time where I had to educate people what our show was about. But I said, listen, we're making the show Mythbusters and we're trying to do a thing about viscosity. And I just want to know, is there an analog test that I can use to show on camera the different viscosity between two things? And that seems like a really reasonable question to me. But I can tell the moment I ask it that he is annoyed by the question. He is perturbed by it. And it's not like he's being impolite with me at all, because he's not. But over the course of our discussion, as he keeps on sort of explicating that I'm not asking the right question, I come to understand that from his point of view, I am coming at this totally the wrong way. I.e., I'm asking if viscosity is a value, V, that I can give to a liquid. And the answer is, no. That's not what viscosity is. Viscosity is more like a relationship between a liquid and its environment, its temperature, its humidity, what material it's on, what material it's in, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the moment I came around to understanding that, the moment he got, I don't know where the penny dropped in that conversation, but when it did, I had a fundamentally new understanding about science. That, like, the idea of an absolute value of something is quite unscientific, and most absolute values are still relationships between a thing and its environment. That little moment of that little tick, so that's a feeling, right? I'm talking to him, and there's this moment in which this little flag comes up in my brain and goes, there are no such thing as absolutes. Even absolutes aren't absolute. They are relational. Theory of relativity. They are relational. That's my point of view showing up. And repeatedly on Mythbusters, we would be engaging. You know, I don't know Carrie, Tori, and Grant's experience of this because we didn't talk about it a lot. But Jamie and I talked about it significantly, and both of us had this experience a lot. And I'm assuming the others did too, which is we'd be researching a thing and you just sort of, you read the wiki, and then you read all the links from the wiki, and then you read some other stuff, and you go find it, and then you grab a book and you start to flip through it. And at a certain point, and sort of just dumping all this information about a new concept into your head, like aerodynamics or buoyancy. Every time I would be doing that in service of making an episode of Mythbusters, there'd be this moment in which I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I haven't seen an answer to this part of a question. Like I'd get enough information that all of a sudden my brain would be like, hey, what about that thing? And that, when my brain would do that, that's when I knew I had a handle on this episode. It's not like I knew, oh, it's all latticed in and now I understand the full plot. It's not that. It's that as soon as I found my point of view on the subject matter, I was interested. I was, oh, this is a place where I have something to contribute. And that's really true. Like, anytime you are taking in a bunch of information, you're going to find that you have certain opinions about it. You have a certain idea about it. And if you pay attention and you listen to that idea, you will have something to contribute. The first time I ever did a official TED Talk was for TED Ed in New York a long time ago. God, almost now 20 years probably. In it, I said, you know, every generation since humans were around campfires probably thinks that everything has been discovered. And the answer is almost nothing has been discovered. You know how they say there's like 90% of insect species are yet to be logged or discovered? It's the same thing with science. So, putting information into your brain, looking for the way what your brain finds interesting about that information, that to me is what it means to go find your point of view. You know, one of the things I say in here is you don't have to know how to complete the build. You only have to know what the next step is. And the next step is often technical, but it's also frequently point of view based. It's like, all right, I don't know what aesthetically to do about this part here, but I know aesthetically what to do about this part here. So let me take care of that. And then once I'm done, I'll zoom out again and maybe now I'll know what to do aesthetically with this part. That is me like chasing the breadcrumbs of my point of view through the execution of solving problems. And that can absolutely be continuously developed. I'm committed to that. And I think that is a more solid, I think talking about point of view is more solid than talking about creativity. Because it's not just like you're making wallets or some like crafty thing. You want to care about the thing that you're making. And when you want to care about it, you're going to go find your point of view and you're going to make something, and eventually you're going to fail enough to make something that's beautiful and speaks to you. And then you're going to learn something about yourself. Actually, you're going to learn something about yourself looking at the thing, thinking about the journey you went through to make that thing. And then, I promise you this, you put that thing down, the thing that you made, that you loved, that you're really happy with, and you look at it a year from now, and it's going to have different lessons for you. It's going to tell you different things about your aesthetic at this point in time than you realize at this point in time. And yeah, that to me is completely lifelong. My wife asked me about retirement a couple of years ago, and I was like, you know, totally. And there's always going to be a workbench in my daily grind. daily grind? I'm not a rise and grinder. Let's not call it a grind. In my daily execution of my life, there will always be a bench somewhere in that life. Okay, that was a long answer. Thank you for watching. I wanted to talk to you about Tested membership. The Tested members are a key community that we find really, really remarkable. That's very separate from Tested and from YouTube. The Tested members, they buy each other memberships during our live streams. So if you're wondering whether to become a member, watch one of our live streams and someone may just give you one. It is hard to overestimate how much the Tested members actually make possible on this channel. They give us a lot of wiggle room. They give us a huge amount of feedback.
That's a member right now.
Thank you so much for enjoying your membership. Description for everything you need to know. And for all the members out there, thank you, thank you, thank you.